Recent report. Happy Monday. What's up? Tammy, D Nice, Nikki Bella, Matthew, Heather Whatever, Spirit of the Trees, Delia Lux, Diane, Trixie, what's up? Trixie's in the house. So how is everyone doing today? Cocktails and Crochet with Coco, what's up? Shiloh Toto, Logical Spock, how's everyone doing today? How's your Monday? Mine was good. Had a smooth day at work. Was being the crying shoulder of some of my coworkers because they're going through. Julissa, what's up? Because they're kind of going through this. I understand what they're going through because we're all going through it. Heather Salvador, what's up? It's actually cool here today too. We were what were we like in the upper 80s all last week, and I guess tomorrow it's gonna be like 70. So it's gonna be like fall weather, I think, for 1 or 2 days, and then goes back up. Tyranna, what's up? Leonore, what's up? Julissa got rain today. Heather Salvatore is saying freezing here. Logical Spock says, I hate bipolar weather. I know, that's how California is. She's menopausal. I do too, because it doesn't usually kind of get cold until after Thanksgiving here. But I hate it because in the morning it's nice weather, like cool. Then it's hotter than hell during the day, like upper 80s, and then it gets cool again at night, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm cold. Diane goes, sunny and very dry in Hawaii. Chris Barber, what's up? And I think the Santa Ana winds are going to come back too as well. But I'm looking forward to tomorrow. It's supposed to be in the 70s, the low 70s. So we'll see. We'll see if the news reports were right. Julissa, that's what I like. That's like how I like to call it. Menopausal weather. Tyranna goes, that's how it is in New Mexico, bipolar weather. Yeah, we get crazy weather. But I'm just glad it's not super hot anymore. We haven't had any. It's been like kind of nice, like bearable, so I'm not complaining. Heather Salvatore is saying Mother Nature has been on menopause for 3 years now. I know. She's been going crazy. Chris Barber goes in Ohio 1 minute it's sunny, next it's snowing. Spirit of the trees. Anybody do anything fun this past weekend or on Sundays since we last spoke? Bernadette just got back from the dentist. Oh no, I hope you feel better, Bernadette. Shout out for Capone. Capone, what's up? Trixie's like, work, work, work. Cocktails and crochet said woke up at a ridiculous o'clock because of daylight savings. I was getting ready for bed last night and I was like, why am I so tired? I'm like, it's only 9 or what time was it? It was only 9 o'clock. And then I just realized like on the old time clock, it's actually 10. But then I was tired to begin with, but still, like I was tired earlier than normal. Even today, I didn't want to wake up till the alarm. Yeah, dentists aren't my friend. I actually need to go. Diane goes, I worked in the garden watering and pruning today. My poinsettias are getting ready to bloom. Oh, super cool, Diane. Spirit of the Trees goes, my Monday was whack, interstate tire blow, then blessings counted, trust. Woo, glad you're okay, Spirit of the Trees. That could be, depending on your car, that could be dangerous. So I'm glad you're okay. Rochelle, what's up? That's the worst pain for me is tooth pain. It's tooth and stomach pain. I could take everything else but those two things. So I hope you feel better for sure. Ah! Thing. He doesn't want to stay up there. So Bernadette, I hope you feel better. That could be brutal. Andre, thank you for dropping by to say hi. Actually, the last time I went to the dentist, the dentist was very compassionate. So it was kind of cool. Like, he explained everything he was doing, and I thought that was kinda cool. He was like, "We're gonna do this, we're gonna" like, I thought that was kinda cool. He was very, he kept me up to date on, what he was doing. Diane goes, "Thing is on a walk." Yep, Thing doesn't wanna perch on my chair. Rochelle goes, "The charcoal powder will take out poison from infection." That too! Logical Spock. That's the same thing as stomach pain. I can't take those. If you have I mean, some doctors are compassionate, so if you have a, compassionate dentist or doctor, that's the best. Giggles, what's up? Super cool name. They actually used to call me, Giggles when was it? Like in elementary school or in middle school? So it's because I used to always laugh. Heather, whatever. Matthew goes, saw a meme with a cat making a face says turning clocks back means I have to wait another hour for my food. Cat face was too. I saw one where it was an actual cat and they added like a person, the cat's just sitting there like this and they were adding like a caption. Like, I don't care if it's daylight savings time. Oh, there he goes. Darn. I don't care if it's daylight saving time. I want to eat now. You're an hour late. Oh my god, he fell. All right. Thing is going to go over here for now. He doesn't want to stay. Oops, sorry guys, a little earthquake. He didn't want to stay, so I'll put him over here. Matthew goes, it was a real. Oh, okay. Maybe it's the same one I saw. but it's hilarious. The cat's like Matthew! It's hilarious. Oh, they'll make sure too to wake you up. Chris Barber goes, "I can't find the duck. It's back there somewhere." I had to make sure y'all can see it. Skeleton duck is in the background somewhere. Giggles found the duck. Cheryl, what's up? Heather Whatever says, "Yes, my middle son said his dog woke him up an hour early. Bummer, everyone stayed up and forgot to the clocks." Matthew sees it. It's there. I'll reveal its location at the end of the stream. Just remind me, guys. Julissa found Skeleduck. Spirit of the Trees goes, "For me, it's tooth and ear pain. Guess my head has the lowest pain tolerance." Sometimes too, if I have like a really bad migraine, oh. Giggles goes, "Thank God we don't change our clocks." What where are you from, Giggles, if you don't mind me asking? I wish they would get rid of the changing of the clocks. It's annoying. Because you get used to a routine and then um thank you, Heather Salvador, for your PayPal. Thank you for the Capone shout out. Animals tell us we are wrong. Feed me now. I missed the other night. Where was the duck? Not tonight. You make me smile. Thank you. Hearts for Heather Salvador. The duck the other night was right here on Saturday where my finger is pointing. The eye was like literally right where my finger is. That's where I had it the other night on Saturday night. Matthew goes, "Pain in the head feels worse than in majority of the parts of the body." Yeah, it does, because what happens is too, it makes it sometimes it makes me nauseous sometimes. I don't know about you guys. Leonora's enjoying the extra hour of sleep. Cocktails and crochet. I definitely prefer falling back rather than spring forward, though. If they're gonna keep one, it needs to be this one. True. But I think if we do stay, it's gonna be the other way around, where we spring forward. Oh, Iva's giggles. All right, I would gig. Oh, okay. What's up, Iva? Well, anyways, I was gonna say Arizona, because Arizona's lucky; they don't have to change times. Julissa goes, "It's too dark in the evenings. I like spring forward. I don't like the 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 weeks coming up to the daylight saving time ending, I guess it is, because when I'm driving certain areas, I have the sun in my face the whole entire time. So I don't look forward to that, and then it's super dark in the morning because the sun hasn't come out yet. But today it was, like, super bright and sunny, and I was like, "Oh, what time is it?" Heather Whatever goes, "Yes, the day is too short." It is, but I don't mind the dark sometimes, it just depends. Because sometimes the evening, I like how, right before the sun went down, I could when I went out in the back, I could hear the crickets, so I thought that was kinda cool. Cheryl goes, "Yes, we have daylight savings in Tasmania. I love it, an extra hour of sunshine. That is super cool." Get into what happened? Why did my camera do that? It started giving me the ring of death on my end. I don't know if you guys saw it, but we're gonna get into ghosts in the news, where I Google ghosts in the news, and I have a few topics that few articles I'm gonna cover before we get into the cursed movies whose sets were struck by tragedy. But this one, it's not really spooky, but I thought it was kind of interesting that I wanted to share with y'all. Julissa says, "I am slow motion." Maybe it's my I don't know, half the ghosts are back. Like, sorry, Salvatore. Heather Salvador. Salvatore. I'm sorry, Heather Salvatore. I know I say it right sometimes and sometimes I don't. I think I get it, and then it I don't know what happens. Like it loses translation. I'm sorry, Heather. Maybe it's that is weird. Maybe I don't know. It's weird because I started getting like the ring of death, like it was buffering, and then it went back. So I don't know what happened. The ghosts are back. They're like, "We're gonna mess with you." But Matthew saying the article shows great, so we'll stick with that. So this one is from Business Insider Africa. Not really. Well, I mean, I guess it's spooky, but I thought it was kind of crazy that it's saying kids may have destroyed a 1.5 million home with chainsaws and axes because it's supposed to have a ghost, one of their dads said. The father of one of the youths who trashed the couple's 1.5 million home with chainsaws and axes said they may have done it because they believed the property to be haunted. A group of 7 children, some as young as 11, ransacked the 6-bedroom home of Joanna and Matt Pitter on the Isle of Wight in southern England. Pittard. The owners were on vacation at the time, according to testimony from a resulting court case. The children admitted causing criminal damage, local reports on the proceeding said, and were issued with fines. None were named. The group caused $371,000 worth of damage, local news outlet Island Echo reported. They destroyed paintings, a stained glass window, a chandelier, and a grandfather clock, the report said. They also took axes, chainsaws, and sledgehammers to every room and covered the walls and floors in bleach, oil paint, and ketchup. Oh my God, I'd be so mad. The father of one of the children told The male online, he was devastated by what they had done and said he was totally shocked when police showed him photos of the damage. I really do feel sorry for the owners. If I saw them, I would apologize for what my son did, he told the outlet. They did not deserve this. I just feel shamed. He said the kids may have targeted the house because they believed it's haunted. Legend has it the ghost of a dead woman resides in the property, which is a former rectory, according to the book Ghost of Isle of Wit by Gay Baldwin. The book says a mate died in the house after being locked away upstairs as punishment, Mail Online reported, and that locals have reported spotting a ghostly figure in the windows. The house isn't too far from where we live. I think they chose it because it was supposed to have a ghost, the boy's father told the outlet. A passage of the book, obtained by the Metro, describes the house as 400 years old in parts and probably older. Everyone in the district knows of the haunted room in the north gable and of the wasted face of an Eerie maidservant who was locked in the room for punishment and died there, the passage said. A bold Shanklin youth climbed up a ladder to investigate. What he saw sent him reeling backwards to his own death, so they say. In court, local magistrate Keith Jones called the group's behavior appalling and an absolute disgrace to all of you, Island Echo reported. 6 of the children were ordered to pay 1,800 each in compensation and given a 12-month referral order, according to local police. The 7th of the group is due to be sentenced later in November. Pitter, the owner, described the attack on her home as mindless in a victim statement. We are horrified at the evil vandalism and attempts at arson at our property, she said, according to Island Echo. It will take a long time to recover financially and emotionally from this event. Wow. What did you guys think of those articles? Oh my God, those kids, like just because they thought the place was haunted, they decided to ransack it and only $1,800? Like, really? That's crazy. That's like giving I still feel like even though they're paid they need to pay 1,800, well, that I mean, that's a lot of money, I guess, for a kid that's 11 years old, so but still, $1,800 I feel like is a slap on the wrist. I don't know, that's me. I feel like it should be a harsher punishment because the couple was on vacation. And they decided to go and destroy this beautiful home that this couple probably worked extremely hard to get, all because it's haunted? Like, come on. Or do something. They need, like, pay the fine and they need to help fix it. Diane goes, that is terrible. How can they think that was okay? I agree. Heather, whatever goes and fix it up, like show up and do drywall. I think that's another thing they should do. They should go and help the couple. They should help clean it up and paint and fix replace the chandelier and the stained glass windows. That's just crazy. Gunner girl, what's up? Julissa goes, those are terrible kids. They are. Chris is like, that's messed up for sure. Cheryl goes, they need to actually build it like it was. I agree. Cheryl goes, they would be grounded for life. The way the dad was talking to one of the kids, he's like, I'm ashamed. Oh my God, I would have said more words. He's like, I am ashamed. And I would say, I would definitely apologize. I would walk my kid up to them and make sure they apologize and help clean up the mess if I had a kid. Diane goes, yes, restoration should be part of their punishment. Heather, whatever goes, and bring them flowers in a movie and do good deeds. Heather Salvatore, parents are a-holes. Tyranna goes, they should replace it. I agree. Should be more than just 1,800. Should be more than $1,800. Like, just imagine coming home from vacation, like you had the greatest time of your life with your significant other, and coming home to that. It's like, they don't deserve that. Chris goes, "Not sure I'd want a bunch of teenagers fixing anything in my house." Well, Chris, work with, obviously, they're gonna get renovators to come in to fix it, so obviously, unless the couple is a handyman and woman and they do it themselves, but obviously, I would not say for them to do it themselves, but to help, like, work alongside, a professional or something. Have them learn something. But that's no reason to destroy a house. All because of the legend that there is a maidservant who was locked up in the room for punishment and died there. Cheryl King goes, "How is wrecking a place gonna get rid of the ghost?" I know, exactly! That's not gonna do anything. So, I don't know what these kids were thinking. Like, really? It makes no sense. At all. Heather whatever goes, "Now the maid is really mad." I go, "Yes! I hope she goes and haunts those kids." Like, in their dreams. "You destroyed my eternal kingdom," or whatever. Then that would really, like, make sure the kids won't ever mess with someone again. Good girl, I hope you feel better as well. Heather whatever goes, "Hitchhiking ghosts." Heather Salvatore, "Yes, I would have them to help with the professionals and the parents need a spanking." I agree. Bernadette goes, "I'm not sure if I'm just high, but has your camera been in and out?" I think it has. It did it a little bit earlier on my end, but did I hit the cable? No, the cable for the camera's on this side. I didn't even touch it. It's the ghost, I tell you, they returned. I knew it too. I was saying, "Oh, there I've had one problem with my computer. It's been working great." No, I should have knocked on wood. I shouldn't have said anything. Julissa goes, "The parents should be made responsible for much more." I agree. I totally agree. It should be more than just, I feel like they just gave the kids a slap in the wrist. And then it said they had to register with something, so maybe that's like community service, like similar to community service here, but still, I feel like Bernadette goes, "Oh, no." I'm glad they're kicking in, Bernadette. Less pain. Oh no, I remember I don't know what it was, but it swelled the whole side of my, and I never went to the dentist. It swelled the whole side of my face. And after a week it went down. It was so painful. But I don't know what it was. I've had it before though. But at the time we were still wearing, because of the big P, we were still wearing masks so I could cover it at that time. So no one could tell, like, my one cheek was bigger than the other. Because everyone would be like, "Oh my god, what happened?" I still kinda have a cheek bigger than the other. But I have no idea what caused it because I never went to the dentist. I should have gone, but I never went. Oh, no, Bernadette! Bernadette going saying root canal next time for me. Oh, no! Alright, guys, we're gonna go into the next article, and it's, um, I had, Heather Whatever's asking, "Did you have your wisdom teeth out?" Um, I did not, but I had teeth pulled because I had crowding when I was, in high school. But I still have my wisdom teeth. Rochelle goes, "When I had a huge zit on my face, mask was great, or when I was preserving money, only needing to put makeup on half the face." True. Super true. Aussie Walks! What's up? Chris Barber has I've had all my teeth removed. Whoa. That must have been painful. It is the worst, Gunner Girl. Mouth pain is the worst. Like, you can't get comfortable. Aisha, what's up? So the next article we've got is from the Washington Post, and it's at this century-old Virginia boarding school, a ghost tale is tradition. Each year around Halloween, students at Middleburg's Foxcraft School gather to hear the legend of Mrs. Kyle, who lived and died on the grounds. The Halloween moon broke through the cloudy sky and cast the only light across the tiny cemetery. On the edge of the forest, deep inside the campus of the Middleburg, Virginia boarding school, students walk through iron gates. Arms locked in groups of four, teenage girls stifled chatter as they walked past the grave of Foxcroft's school's founder. Try to say that like a billion times. Just an hour earlier, the high schoolers had frolicked at Foxhound Sing Sing, a pep rally of sorts for two student houses. Just like the English school tradition popularized in the Harry Potter franchise, students donned costumes as they raucously cheered classmates who performed musical skits. But when the music died down, a silent march began toward the graveyard. For nearly half a mile, all that could be heard was the crunch of gravel road underfoot and the sporadic shh from upperclassmen, ad- admonishing the younger students to tamp down the chit chat and giggling. Their trek wound through the horse pasture behind the stables. With each footsteps, the scent of grass or horse manure wafted through the air. "Should we not see flashlights?" a senior shouted. The freshmen had no idea what awaited them. For upperclassmen, it was their turn to pass along a cherished tradition of the 109-year-old Loudon County School. Their walk in the darkness brought the girls closer to joining generations of Foxcroft students who preceded them in an annual ritual, hearing a macabre tale that keeps alive one of Virginia's hunts country's oldest and not widely known tales, the ghost of Mrs. Kyle. A recorded tale. It is it is a legend this reporter knows well, burned in my memory as a child who grew up on this campus in the 1970s and early 80s. The son of the school's cook and a domestic worker. The story has lingered in my imagination for more than 4 decades and finally drove me back as a journalist to retrace my childhood haunts back to memories of Halloween fun. The tale is preserved on a scratchy audio tape that was recorded by Foxcraft's late founder, Charlotte Noland, whom the campus still reverses as Miss Charlotte. The elderly woman recounts a ghost story she first learned about from her grandfather and a present she later claimed to have encountered when she purchased the property. Nolan said the woman's spirit inspired her to exhume a grave on the school grounds, perhaps uncovering an 18th century homicide. The cassette tape, in Nolan's own words, tells the story below. Nolan's version of events begins with Jane Ball Kyle and her husband, Mr. Kyle, a land dealer who arrived in Virginia in the early 18th century from England. Among his purchases was a large tract of rolling hills a few miles outside what is now Middleburg, about an hour west of D.C. Mr. Kyle, whose first name was lost in Nolan's retelling, built a brick house on a hill near an orchard, and the couple dubbed their new home Lucas Lawn. But the couple's Virginia Eden turned hellish soon after Mrs. Kyle gave birth. And when Mrs. Kyle had a baby, there was no doctor within hundreds of miles of her. And the story is she went off her head, Nolan said. Nolan claimed that Mrs. Kyle was chained in the attic of her home because of her unstable mental condition. While her husband was away on a trip, Mrs. Kyle escaped, and while running down the staircase, she supposedly fell and broke her neck. She was buried under a tree in the orchard a few hundred yards from the home's veranda. But apparently, Mrs. Kyle's spirit and certainly her story would not rest. When she bought the property, Nolan moved into the brick house alone, or so she thought. She said guests who stayed on the second floor described hearing footsteps that stopped outside the second floor that stopped outside their doors. After she opened the school in 1914, teachers and staff shared experiences of feeling a spirit moving about. I could feel her right behind me, breathing on my neck as I walked up the steps, Nolan said on the recording. She was simply the spirit of a restless soul who couldn't rest because they had something to tell us. What the something was, I had no idea, but I made up my mind and I was going to find out. She describes telling her students that she would try to dig up the bones. The ones who got the highest grades were invited to witness it. Nolan hired two stout men for the job, but they apparently didn't dig deeply enough at first. They they later unearthed bones, discovering the femur of a man. Digging would resume with more onlookers. The next day, we let the whole countryside come. It really was a funny gathering, Nolan said. They laid out a table of food under the orchard trees. Nolan declared a school holiday. Finally, they found a coffin. You can imagine the excitement, Nolan said on the tape. Nice ladylike ribs. I was so glad to see them. One student, leaning for a closer look, fell into the grave. She emerged with the skull, and Nolan noticed a bullet hole. That's what she was trying to tell the world, Nolan said. She did not fall down. Somebody had shot her and then lied about it. Nolan describes wrapping the skull in a newspaper and taking it to the Smithsonian Institute in Washington to a ballistic department. The only one story I told was that I found it in a field because you're not supposed to dig up graves, Nolan said. After a 30-minute examination, institution officials told her that the skull was pierced by a pre-Revolutionary War bullet, according to Nolan. She said she later put Mrs. Kyle's remains in a jar and reburied them under a tree in the orchard. Smithsonian officials at the Natural Nikki Bella, thank you for being a member of the Wolfpack for 4 months. Hi, Lisa. You always have great content. Hearts for Nikki Bella, guys. Thank you, Nikki Bella. Ah, my tablet doesn't want to prop up properly here. Oh, well, I can still see it. The Institute never housed a ballistic department. To date, much of Nolan's account has yet to be proved or disapproved. There's such a hold on the school, especially around Halloween. These days, dorms and school buildings dot the 500-acre campus. There's a gym for basketball games and athletic fields for field hockey and soccer. For the 150 or so students, 2 hours of mandatory sports each day is part of the draw. Many students ride horses. The epicenter of ghostly encounters is located around the old orchard, bookended by Mrs. Kyle's tree and the original brick house. Grace Pumphrey, school A school prefect in a freshman dorm and captain of the Foxes said she and an older student leaders tell the story of two freshmen. Student lore warns that touching Mrs. Kyle's tree could lead to bad luck or broken bones. Delea Lugo, thank you for your PayPal. Here's for a pumpkin spice frappe. Thank you, Delea Lugo. Hearts for Delea Lugo. Ever, oh my God, Ava Brett Cosby said she spent a few weeks during her freshman year sleeping inside the dorm called Orchard, which is near the tree. Now a senior and the hound captain, Ava still remembers those early days on campus when she and her classmates nervously huddled together in a lounge because of strange happenings. I'm wondering if this is a all girls boarding school. It doesn't say, but the people, they're all girls. So I'm wondering. That dorm is definitely haunted. Doors open and close on their own, Ava said. Something is going on. Head of school, Kathy McGehee, often lectures about Nolan's legacy and principles that remained embedded in the school's routines more than 50 years after Nolan's death in 1969. She said that she really firmly believed the girls needed to manage student events themselves. McGee said in an interview, what Foxcroft and this fun, spooky tradition gives is something that kids are responsible for and what they make of it, what they do with it. Nolan insisted that traditions such as the Sing Sings and the graveside telling of the campus story be student run, although faculty advised and supervised. The Foxhound captains described the annual Halloween jaunt as one of the best draws in the student calendar. Pumphrey offers advice for newbies. Do not wear heels. Bring a warm coat. Step over piles of horse poop and don't spook the horses. This year, student leaders forgot to bring the cassette of Nolan's account. The students instead heard a makeshift recounting, a camera light chat that gave sweeping overviews of the story and connected Nolan and Mrs. Kyle. As the adventures wound down, one student whispered to her friends, "That was lit." The student then strode back through over hills in the horse pasture, down the gravel road, and to the center of campus for one last rally. Cheers and laughter erupted and echoed across the orchard and the final resting place of Mrs. Kyle. A plaque there lends to the legend. Here lies the bones of Mrs. Kyle, who lived in the old brick house and died circa 1730. Her ghost still haunts Foxcroft. I think it is an all-girl school. Guys, what did you see? Even though a guy wrote the article, but I think it's an all. I don't know. I don't know if it is or not, but the people that they were talking to were all female. So I'm wondering. Guys, what did you think of that cool story? Delalux goes, well, someone has to drink the fancy cafes. I can't drink them now since I was sick for the past month. Ah, sorry to hear, Delalux. Heather, whatever goes, horse poop at school. Whoa, no field hockey, thanks. Rochelle goes, interesting. Chris Barber goes, horse poop in school is weird for me. It's saying that they have a mandatory 2 hour like sports thing that they have to do. And they say many do horse riding. Cheryl King goes, great story. Heather, whatever goes, good story. Matthew goes, yeah, it's an all-girl school. Just looked up the name. Thank you, Matthew. Tyranna goes, great story. Diane go, I'm confused. What happened to the baby and was she having blues that made her crazy? That Diana, it doesn't say anything about the baby. It doesn't. So I was like, but that's what I was thinking. She was having the blues, the baby blues. But yeah, very good question, Diane. I did not mention the baby at all. And apparently there was no ballistic department too, so they can't corroborate Mrs. Nolan's story. But it's actually, I think that's a pretty cool tradition for Halloween at a boarding. That is a pretty cool tradition. Sorry, guys, I was fixing my tablet. Heather, whatever goes, the husband sounds sus. Aisha goes, could it have been she had postpartum? That's what I was thinking, Aisha. Because back then, they just thought you were crazy, which is sad, but it's sad that they would think that. Chris Barber goes, cool tradition? It is a cool tradition. And it's student led too, so the students get to participate in it, which I think is cool too. And they say like that area right there is haunted, so that's even cooler. Heather, whatever goes, chain me in the basement, I'd haunt you. No. Heather, Cheryl goes, too much horse poop for me. Hey, at least they warn you. Like, don't wear heels. Wear something warm and avoid the horse poop. That'd still be cool to go to. Cool experience. Just a reminder that the skeleduck is somewhere behind me. Just remind me and I will reveal its location at the end of the stream. Because I might forget. I do that sometimes. Chris Barber goes, that's what wellies are for. Heather Salvatore. Try living in the 5 college area: Smith, Amherst, UMass, Hampshire, Mount Holyoke. Spoiled, entitled, and right out rude. True. True. Heather, whatever goes, you have so many cool items back there, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you. Aisha goes, could only imagine the smell of horse. I like horses, though. I don't get to see horses too often. So whenever I see a horse, I'm like, all right, this is kind of going to be an all that's interesting site article because I do find that site super interesting. And this is from All That's Interesting. Researchers working to unlock the mystery of a Fiji mermaid found in Japan more than 100 years ago. The creature appears to be a hodgepodge of at least 3 species and was likely displayed in 19th century sideshows. And the only reason why this kind of strike me because I remember in the X-Files they mentioned a Fiji mermaid and it was in the episode Humbug. So I was like, "Oh, in 1906, a Navy sailor named L.C. Bishop returned home to Ohio from Japan with a curious souvenir, the remains of what appeared to be a tiny, clawed, grimacing mermaid. Now researchers at Northern Kentucky University are examining the object to see if they can decipher its origins. As something that's been a part of our collection for so long, 117 years, I know that I'm personally excited to have some answers. Natalie Fritz, an archivist for the Clark County Historical Society at the Heritage Center where the mermaid was originally donated, told the Springfield News Sun. Radiology students at NKU used X ray and CT scans to examine the curious object and now believes that it's a Frankenstein of at least 3 species. It contains monkey, fish, and reptile parts. Ooh, that's crazy. It seems to be a hodgepodge of at least 3 different species eternally. Joseph Kress, an NKU radiologist who examined the creature, explained to the Daily Mail, "There's the head and torso of a monkey. The hands seem to be that of an amphibian, almost like an alligator, crocodile, or lizard of some sort. And then there's that tail of a fish. Again, species unknown." Kress added, "It is obviously fashioned almost Frankenstein together, so I want to know what parts were pulled together." The scans also revealed something about the object's instruction. The Springfield News Sun reports that it contained wooden rods, metal that appears to be holding the claws in place, cotton stuffing in the body, and some kind of paper mache structure that gives the creature form. But why make such a strange object in the first place? Fritz explains that it was likely a Fiji mermaid, a popular sideshow attraction in the 19th century. Fiji mermaids were a part of collections and sideshows in the late 1800s, she said, noting that Bishop, who donated the mermaid, served in Japan in the 1870s and likely picked it up around then. In the United States, such objects were popularized by showmen like P.D. Barnum. The Daily Mail reports that he even exhibited a similar mermaid at his American Museum in New York until it burned down in 1865. The mermaid donated by Bishop was apparently similarly displayed around town in Ohio, as Fritz noticed that people in the community had started coming forward to share their memories of seeing it. Some remember seeing it on display in Memorial Hall, the home of the Historical Society from 1926 to 1986, she explained. One woman, whose father was the curator in the 70s, recalls that it scared her to death when she would visit her dad at work. That said, there's still more that researchers are hoping to learn about the object. There were a lot of images taken, especially with the CT scan, so they still have a lot of data to sort through to give us more detailed answers, the Clark County Historical Society explained in a Facebook post. To the Daily Mail, Kress explained that he and researchers are hoping to closely examine every part of the mysterious mermaid. Honey, 2800, what's up? Do those nostrils continue up into what we think is a legitimate nasal cavity? And how deep do they go? He asked. Can you see the ear cavity continuing to where it would then connect to the brain? Next, the data about the mermaid will also be sent to the Cincinnati Zoo and the Newport Aquarium so that experts there can try and determine exactly which species were used to make it. And the Clark County Historical Society is eager to share what they find, as they said on Facebook. We're excited to be able to share more information on this weird little guy. And that's how it ends? What? I feel like, so guys, what do you think of this weird Fiji mermaid looking thing? That thing is crazy looking. It's not that big, but still, I would be afraid to touch it because I would think it's cursed. Aisha goes, well, if it's not Ariel, I pass. Matthew goes, plenty of professional mermaids here in Florida. Nikki's asking, have I seen the movie The Last Voyage of the Demeter? I did, and I did not like it. I was kind of disappointed in it. Like, I was so excited because 'cause I'm a huge Bram Stoker's Dracula fan, and I was super excited, and I was disappointed in it. Heather whatever goes, "The Cincinnati Zoo had a cute baby hippo, Fiona." I heard about Fiona. Tyrana goes, "Creepy." Julissa goes, "It is crazy looking." Cheryl King goes, "Weird." Chris Barber goes, "I wonder if it's open to the public to see it." I don't know because it doesn't say. I think they're just, they're, like, studying it. They're trying to figure out, like, what the what because the fish-like part, they have no idea where it came from. Diane goes, "I find mer people fascinating, wonder if there is a fish with humanoid features." Rochelle goes, "It would be great to see me." I would like to see it. It looks cool. But I think right now they're just investigating it, like, studying it, trying to figure out its origins. But like I was saying earlier, the first time I heard about Fiji Mermaid was, The X-Files. Heather whatever goes, "There are scary fish, deep water, lots of teeth." Yes, there are. Yeah, and they look fugly too, like, scary and fugly. And strange, like they don't belong, um, of this world. Heather whatever goes, "Angler fish is a trip." Cheryl King goes, "The deep depths hold many mysteries." They certainly do, because there's no light the further down you go. So it's like it is like being in a horror movie kind of. You might have something come up with like 4 eyes or something. No, I've seen pictures of some crazy looking fish. Julissa goes, "They keep discovering new sea creatures the deeper they explore." Aisha's like, "Nope, nope, and nope." Chris Barber goes, "The fish that glow." Aisha goes, "I'll be keeping my feet on dry land for sure." I think they closed one of the a stretch of beach. Forgot where. Um Forgot what part of the coast, but they closed it because I guess they found a baby whale had shark bites in it. So they didn't want anybody to be in the water. There was a shark sighting. Honey 2000 says they are from another world. They are adapted to the dark and high pressure environment. True. Yes. Diane goes, "They say they are the aliens in the ocean." They are. They are definitely because you see these weird looking things. Rochelle goes, "I really want to live near the ocean. I feel it in my soul lately." It's beautiful to live near the ocean. And it doesn't get so hot near the ocean, too. You get a nice sea breeze. I think I would probably prefer the mountain life. Heather whatever goes, "Darn sharks sure moved a lot to Southern California. They wanted to save seals, but it drew sharks." Thank you, Cocktails and Crochet, for stopping by. Matthew goes, James Cameron, The Abyss. Honey goes, there are some that adapted to live next to volcanic vents, high heat and acidity in the water, and they adapted to feed off the algae and shrimps that thrive there. Cool. I think they're fascinating. Like whenever they show like deep sea creatures, oh, they're fugly and like I was saying, they're fugly and they're scary looking. But they're cool. They're fascinating too at the same time. Aisha goes, mountains would be great, but I would worry about the altitude. I think I would love being in the mountains with the lake. I'm that type of person. I like the mountains and the trees and the forest with the lake. But the ocean is beautiful too, so I'm not dismissing that. Chris Barber wants to live in the middle California coast. Well, California is expensive to live in, but we have decent weather, so that's a plus. Heather Whatever goes, altitude is good. Our lungs develop more because our oxygen molecules are farther apart. Kyle! GT, what's up? Saying, Lisa, you'd love it up here on Vancouver Island. I probably would, Kyle. Honey saying my favorite deep sea creature is the Vampiroteuthis. It is a type of octopus. I like the name of that. That's a cool name. Matthew goes, like to be a little out so I could see the stars better. I could kind of see the stars where I'm at, but it's still amazing when you're like in complete darkness and you see like stars. Chris Burr goes, it's your weather and the fact I'd be closer to my brother. Oh, that's even a plus. That's a super plus, Chris. Super double plus. But that, I know I always said that I live in the wrong state. Rochelle goes, you know what? I watched Braveheart for the very first time up in Big Bear, California, and after that it had been a super moon, and I laid in the back of my pickup truck and just watched the moon all night. That is super cool, Rochelle. Heather, whatever goes, I live in the wrong end of the same state. Rochelle goes, since you're right there in California, Lisa, why don't you take a trip to Big Bear and just look up the mountain sky, rent out a cabin? I thought of doing that. That'd be pretty cool to do that. I'd probably so enjoy it. I could go hiking. Chris goes, he's my only family left, which is even better to even be even closer to him. Honey goes, they are fascinating little creatures. Instead of suction cups, they have spikes, and those legs are connected by skin that look like a bat wing when they open. Oh, cool. super cool. That sounds interesting. Aisha would be glamping. Well, getting a cabin's kinda like glamping. Hey, guys, it's another article from All That's Interesting. Because for some odd reason, I found some good articles on All That's Interesting. This one is inside the bone-chilling legend of the Black Shuck, the hellhound of the English countryside. Known as Black Shuck, Old Shuck, or sometimes just Shuck, this devil dog with glowing eyes has supposedly terrorized England for centuries. People in Bungay, England, know all too well what the creature known as Black Shuck can supposedly do. One bit of town folklore from 1577 says this giant hellhound killed two people who were kneeling in prayer after knocking down the church doors amid a flash of lightning. The ghostly apparition then traveled 12 miles away to Blithburg Church, the story says, where it killed two more people. Clearly, Cujo and the rest of the world's most fearsome fictional canines have nothing on the mythical Black Shuck. These are the fearsome legends that still persist today. The origins of the Black Shuck myth. The first known written text describing a black shuck from the Old English succa or devil in England goes back to 1127 in the town of Peterborough, immediately after the arrival of Abbot Henry of Poitou to the Abbey of Peterborough. There was quite a ruckus. It was the Sunday when they sing exurge quare od. Many men both saw and heard a great number of huntsmen hunting. The huntsmen were black, huge, and hideous, and rode on black horses, and on black he goats, and their hounds were jet black with eyes like saucers and horrible. This was seen in the very deer park of the town of Peterborough, and in all the woods that stretched from that same town to Stamford, and in the night the monks heard them sounding and winding their horns. Witnesses said that around 20 to 30 of these hellish beings stayed in the area, though Lent all the way to Easter, a period of about 50 days. Through Lent. The events of 1127 were also known as a wild hunt and weren't just an English phenomenon. Stories from across central, western, and northern Europe recount loud, spectacle wild hunts throughout untamed lands, and they helped explain the mythical underpinnings of the Black Shuck. Northern cultures associated wild hunts with the change of the seasons from fall into winter, probably because strong cold winds came blowing over the landscape and forced people indoors. Anyone who didn't make it inside during the winter could freeze to death. Interpreting howling winds as a pack of hunters would thus make sense. People were mythologizing their surroundings as a way to warn people to stay indoors. Winds aren't nearly as scary as a pack of rabid dogs on the hunt, but the outcome could be the same. If someone didn't flee from the Black Shuck, they could be killed. Particularly in England, when winds would come howling in from the sea, there were stories of black hellhounds in more than a dozen areas. These include Suffolk, Norfolk, East Anglia, Cambridge, Lancashire. I can't read today. Lancashire, Yorkshire, Staffordshire, Lincolnshire, and Leicestershire. Oh my gosh. Those are tongue twisters. Description of the Black Shuck. Anyone who saw a Black Shuck described a large dog with black, mangy fur. These dogs would supposedly be larger than normal, with some even as big as a horse. They were foaming at the mouth as if deranged, rabid, or ra- ravenously focused on hunting for their next meal. According to one description published in 1901, said, he takes the form of a huge black dog and prowls along dark lanes and lonesome field footpaths, where, although his howling makes the hearer blood run cold, his footfalls make no sound. But such an encounter might bring you the worst of luck. It is even said that to meet him is to be warned that your death will occur before the end of the year. So you will do well to shut your eyes if you hear him howling. Shut them, even if you are uncertain whether it is the dog fiend or the voice of the wind you hear. You may perhaps doubt his existence, and like other learned folks, tell us that the story is nothing but the old Scandinavian myth of the Black Hound of Odin brought to us by the Vikings. And in addition to the above, perhaps the most distinctive characteristic of the black shuck was its eyes, red and big as saucers. Furthermore, these hellhounds were always said to appear suddenly and without warning, then disappear as quickly as they'd arrived. And if you did catch a glimpse of one, it was believed to be either a protective spirit, according to modern farmer, or a portent of death, a family guardian watching over everyone, or a warning of certain doom. No wonder people feared the black shuck. Stories of the hellhound. Rochelle goes for a moment. Lisa turned into a drunken Irishman. Of course, the black shuck was scary because of more than just its appearance. Stories of the creature in action reveal the true depths of its terror. And the most famous story of a black shuck appearance, Reverend Abraham Fleming of Bungay, modern day Suffolk, wrote a terrifying account of a hellhound's attack of the church in 1577 in his essay, A Strung, Strange and Terrible Wonder. Strange, it's probably strange, but the way they spelled, that's a weird spelling. And terrible wonder. This black dog, or the devil, in such a lineness, God he knoweth all, who worketh all, running all along down the body of the church with great swiftness and incredible haste, among the people in a visible form and shape, passed between two persons as they were kneeling upon their knees and occupied in prayer, as it seemed, wrung the necks of them both at one instant clench backwards, in so much that even at a moment where they kneeled, they strangely died. That is like strange. I don't know. The spelling is weird. As for accounts of more recent black shuck sightings, one man in 1905 claimed that a black dog turned into a donkey and then vanished a few heartbeats later. One 4-year-old girl during World War II encountered a large black dog that walked from her window around her bed, made eye contact with those famous red eyes, and then vanished before reaching the door. She didn't sleep well that night. A 10-year-old boy wrote in 1974 about an encounter he had when he was 6. He said he saw a black animal with yellow eyes galloping toward him at night. After he screamed for his mother, she said it was merely a reflection of a car's headlights from outside his window. The boy read a story about a haunted council house and a black dog spirit, and he then became convinced that his original account of a giant black dog was, in fact, the truth. The explanation behind the myths. In actuality, sightings of hellhounds or other demonic figures and acts are often inspired by fearsome weather phenomenon. For example, the sightings in Bungay are often attributed to massive thunderstorms that cause buildings to collapse. Lightning strikes might burn wooden structures or at least cause a few stones to fall from stone churches, which could be seen as the devil's work. During the Black Shuck sightings in Blithburg in 1577, the steeple of Holy Trinity Church collapsed one night in a terrible storm. There were also scorch marks left on the north door. They're still there today. Rather than take a storm simply as a storm, some saw the destruction and resulting deaths of 2 people as the work of the devil. As for the devil's work, some believe that the reported Black Shuck sighting surrounding the steeple collapse in Blithburg spread so much and stuck in people's minds because of the Reformation that was sweeping through Europe at the time. The Catholic Church may have been trying to scare people into staying with their church. Additionally, stories of scary black dogs could have also spread as a way to teach lessons. Parents may have used stories of the black shuck to keep kids out of certain rooms in the house or to stay away from strange dogs, for example. Was a real life black shuck ever discovered? News of a giant dog skeleton unearthed near an abbey in Leston, south of Bungay in Suffolk, in 2013 gave the legend of the black shuck new life in the present day. The skeleton was reported to belong to a 7-foot, 200-pound male dog, per the Daily Mail. Nevertheless, experts believe it was simply a Great Dane, one of the largest dog breeds in the world. And in the end, perhaps that's all a black shuck ever really was, just a massive dog. Irish wolfhounds, St. Bernards, Mastiff, Newfoundlands, and Great Pyrenees are just a few of the dogs that grow to enormous sizes, big enough perhaps to inspire exaggerated myths about hellhounds the size of horses and myths that survived for hundreds of years. After this, now it's like, check out this. So, guys, what did you think about the black shuck? I thought this was pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting article. Honey 2800 goes, going to take the black shuck home, give it a bath, and put it in a sweater. Who's a good shuck? You are. Yes, you are. Heather, whatever goes, scary. Aisha goes, maybe that's the boogeyman's pet. Diane goes, I have a Staffordshire Terrier, obviously not a relative of these shires. She is sweet and loving, medium small size, 40 pounds. Rochelle goes, it was very good and very nice reading, very hard to read. Cheryl King goes, it was. There were some words. Cheryl King goes, very interesting. Thanks, Gunner Girl. It was a super interesting. I always like reading legend, I guess folklore. That's kind of like folklore. I always like reading folklore about different things that people like Ya Llorona and all the I love reading about that kind of stuff. It's always interesting to see um what people went through and how these stories came about. It's probably one of my favorite things to read, actually. Brandon, what's up? Brandon in the house. I hate when that happens, when you take a nap and then you oversleep. And then you, in turn, you feel worse than you did when you went took the nap sometimes. Sometimes you feel better though. Heather whatever goes, I had a book of Japanese fairy tales that's around here somewhere. Rochelle goes, to keep one's magical side alive within oneself, that truly keeps the human race considered. Hope and magic can't get any better. True. Totally agree with you, Rochelle. Chris Barber goes, depends on the lake. True. True. It does, because sometimes you do need that nap just to give you like the added boost to feel better. Brandon goes, folklore is a lot of fun. Heather whatever goes, similar stories like Kelties. Honey goes, "Take a nap, sleep so hard you wake up with Einstein hair not knowing what day it is." I've had that happen before. I've woken up and I'm like, "Oh my god, I gotta get ready for work," and then I remember, "Oh, it's my day off." I hate when that happens. I do, I've had that happen where I was like, I'll wake up, and then I'll be like, "Oh, it's my day off." I can go back to sleep. No, I seriously have had that happen. Or I'll wake up and I'm like, "What day is it today?" I'm because I'll be half asleep, like, one eye, like, open barely open, and I go, "Oh, that's right. Today is whatever day it is." Brandon goes, "The time change should be a folklore from the past." That messes everybody up. I know Arizona doesn't have the time change, they're lucky. Even falling back messes you all up. But I know when we spring forward, that's when I'm like, "Why am I so hungry? It's only," and then I'll be like, "Oh, that's why." Or why am I not hungry? Because of the time change, because you're all off your schedule. So your body doesn't know. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I changed well, my Alexa does it automatically, but I changed my other clock, and then I changed the one in my car, which is basically the only because I went into my car and I go, "Dang, it's already that," and then I was like, "Oh." Rochelle goes, "The time going back was a pleasant surprise for me. I was able to do my laundry, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get it done." Oh, that's cool. There's some good things about it. Brandon goes, "I wonder if Ghost buy it for the witchy now." I know they'll be an hour early or an hour late. Honey goes, "Daylight savings time messes with my cats. They have a set time that is bedtime. They want to be crated and the big lights off. They climb into their hammock and go to sleep." Oh, wow. That's so cute. That is so cute. But yeah, that would definitely mess them up because then they'll it'll be too early when they want to go to bed. That sometimes when I'm tired, I don't want to do anything. So hopefully it's like once you finally get used to it, it's like it changes again. And I'm like, hopefully they get rid of it and we don't have to do it anymore. All right, guys, we are going to get into the main topic and I will open it up for questions after question and answers. And this is again from All That's Interesting. It's a super cool website. 11 allegedly cursed movie protections and the eerie incidents that surrounded them. From the fatal helicopter crash that struck Twilight Zone, the movie, to the curse that seems to plague actors who play Superman. Go inside some of Hollywood's most ill-fated film sets. Movie productions rarely ever go perfectly as planned. Actors forget lines, set pieces break down, and sometimes entire scenes need to be rewritten on the fly. Whatever issues may arise, though, there is a certain level of expected improvisation that naturally occurs on most film sets. But what happens when seemingly everything goes wrong? Some film productions in recent history have gone so awry that many of the actors, directors, and crew members alleged allege the productions were cursed. From the off-screen issues that plagued The Exorcist and Poltergeist to the bizarre, untimely deaths of actors involved in Atuk and Rebel without a cause. The stories behind these allegedly cursed movies might be even more terrifying than anything in the films themselves. Several deaths and on-set incidents plagued The Exorcist, 1972. When it when it released in 1973, The Exorcist became renowned as the most terrifying film of all time. Moviegoers reportedly fainted, vomited, and ran out of the theater during screenings. It was unlike anything the world had seen before on film, which also made it somewhat controversial. For many religious Americans, a film that so clearly depicted the horrors of demonic possession inflicted upon a little girl no less seemed to fly in the face of God, and its on-set protection issues only added to The Exorcist's woes. There were several deaths before the film released that bizarrely mirrored some of the deaths depicted on screen. For example, Jack McGowran, whose character Burke Dennon is killed by the Pazuzu-possessed Reagan in the film, died from complications of influenza shortly before the film's release. Likewise, Vasiliki Melrose, who played the mother of Father Damien Karras, died from natural causes that same year. In the film, Melrose character also died after being admitted to a hospital. Several other actors, including Linda Blair and Max von Sydow, tragically lost family members during the production, and Father Karras, actor Jason Miller, had a near-fatal motorcycle accident during filming. But it wasn't just the actors who were affected by the alleged curse. In 1972, early on in the film's production, a bird flew into a circuit box, causing a massive fire to burn down the set of Regan's family home. The only room that was unaffected was Regan's bedroom, in which the film's exorcisms would take place. The fire caused a 6-week delay in filming, and a priest was even called in to bless the set. Both Linda Blair and Ellen Burstyn, who played Regan's mother, Chris McNeil, reportedly suffered back injuries as a result of the production. Burstyn's injuries were caused by a harness that jerked her about on set, and Blair's was caused by a poor rigging on Regan's bed, which shakes about violently during an exorcism. Of course, it's possible that many of these situations can be attributed more to director William Friedkin's carelessness than to a supernatural curse. Still, stories of this various incidents on and off set have kept the film's reputation as a cursed film alive and well for more than 50 years now. Oh, that lipstick. I was like, what lipstick? Um, it's on Timu, apparently. The Curse Behind Poltergeist, 1982. 1982's Poltergeist was an instant success. Directed by Toby Hopper of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame and written and produced by Hollywood legend Steven Spielberg, the film follows the middle-class Freeling family and the paranormal events that turn their lives upside down after the abduction of their daughter, Carol Ann. Like The Exorcist, Poltergeist terrified movie audiences, but its behind-the-scenes production issues and eerie coincidences led many to claim that the production itself was cursed. Per biography, these cursed film sets allegations stem from several prominent deaths during and shortly after the production of the Poltergeist trilogy. Perhaps the most tragic and surprisingly was the death of Heather O'Rourke, who played Carol Ann Freeling in the first Poltergeist movie at just 5 years old. 5 years after the film's release in 1987, Roke, was misdiagnosed with Crohn's disease, and a year later she collapsed and suffered a cardiac arrest. She was airlifted to a San Diego Children's Hospital, but unfortunately died during an operation. But Aroke was not the only Freely family member to die unexpectedly. Dominic Dunn, who played older sister Dana Freeling, was brutally murdered by her ex-partner John Sweeney. In November 1982, Sweeney arrived at Dunn's house and begged her to take him back. She refused, and in response, Sweeney choked her until she was unconscious, leaving her to die in her driveway. He would only spend 3 years and 7 months in prison. Really? In addition to O'Rourke's and Dunn's, two other cast members met untimely ends. The first was Julian Beck, who played the evil preacher Cain in Poltergeist 2. Beck was diagnosed with stomach cancer in 1982 and succumbed to it shortly after filming his role in the second film. The other was Will Sampson, who played Taylor the shaman. Sampson died after undergoing a heart lung transplant, an operation with a fairly low survival rate. Rumors of a curse further proliferated when actress Jo Beth Williams claimed Spielberg insisted on using real human skeletons as props on set. Though this has never been proven true, Sampson, a real-life shaman, even performed an authentic exorcism after shooting Wrapped one night. Two people attached to the Omen were on airplanes struck by lightning. Oh, I love this film. It's one of my favorite films. 1976, The Omen, directed by Richard Donner and written by David Seltzer, followed an American diplomat and his wife who adopt a young boy named Damien, a boy who may be the Antichrist. Soon enough, anyone who crosses paths with Damien experiences extreme misfortune and ultimately dies. Before filming on The Omen began, executive Robert Munger warned the crew that any film telling the story of the child of the devil was certainly going to be cursed. As luck would have it, Munger's warning allegedly came true. According to Film Daily, a series of strange events soon began to unfold for members of the film crew. It began when Academy Award winner Gregory Peck, who plays the film's protagonist, canceled a flight at the last minute for unknown reasons. Chillingly, the plane he nearly boarded wound up crashing to the ground, killing everyone on board. Oh my gosh, I did not know that. To make things even more eerie, it landed on top of a vehicle that had members of the pilot's family inside. When Peck did eventually board a plane to England for filming on The Omen, his plane was struck by lightning in totally different instance, and a totally different instant. Writer David Seltzer's plane was also struck by lightning while he was on his way to the film, or to film. Later, executive producers Mace Newfield said that he, Peck, and others affiliated with the film had planned to dine out at a restaurant one evening, only for that building to be destroyed in a violent explosion. Thankfully, none of the crew members were there at the time. Then, in an eerie coincidence, the special effects artist who created the Omen's decapitation scene was involved in a head-on car crash that decapitated his girlfriend. What? Finally, while shooting a scene in the film, Gregory Peck's stuntman was attacked by trained Rottweilers. For some reason, the dogs went into a frenzy and ignored their trainer's commands. The stuntman survived but sustained serious injuries. Oh, that one's crazy. I never heard of that one, but that's a crazy one. I've heard of the Poltergeist one, but I've never heard of the Exorcist one or the Omen. A Toque, a film so cursed it never got made. Unlike other films on this list, A Toque was not a horror movie, and it had nothing to do with the devil. Based on Canadian author Mordecai Rickler's 1963 novel, The Incomparable A Toque, the film has had a number of directors and actors attached to it, but unfortunately, tragedy has prevented the film from ever coming to fruition. The first director to attempt A Toque was Norman Jewison. Collider reports that Jewison had enlisted Todd Carroll to write the script for Atuk in the early 70s, but ultimately moved on from the project to direct Jesus Christ Superstar. It wasn't until a decade later in 1982 that John Belushi got hold of the script and signed on to play the lead. Unfortunately, on March 5th, 1982, Belushi died from a drug overdose at the age of 33. 6 years later, in 1988, the film finally found its next star in Sam Kinison. In that instance, production on the film actually began, and Kinison managed to shoot a few scenes of Atuk. But as Carroll later told the Los Angeles Times, Kinison wanted parts of the script to be rewritten, ultimately leading the project to once again be abandoned. And then on April 10th, 1992, Kinison died in a car accident. He was 38. Shortly after, John Candy expressed interest in Atuk, then died after a heart attack at the age of 43 on March 4th, 1994. Soon enough, comedy legend Chris Farley was in talks to finally bring Atuk to the big screen. Like the others before him, though, Chris Farley faced an untimely death, overdosing in December of 1997. That is freaking crazy. To this day, it seems that Atuk was simply never meant to be, and some believe it's a cursed film. Ah, yes, it is. That's crazy. Rosemary's Baby, one of the most cursed movies ever made. There are several reasons you could consider Rosemary's Baby to be cursed. The 1968 film, directed by the incredibly controversial Roman Polanski, saw strange circumstances befall a number of people attached, including the film's composer, Christoph Komeda, who reportedly fell into a coma and eventually died, much like Rosemary's friend Hutch does in the book. According to a piece from Vanity Fair, actor William Castle received a constant stream of hate mail that caused him to develop severe kidney stones. He ended up in the hospital and reported hallucination and delirious reportedly hallucinated scenes from the film, and he never made another Hollywood hit. However, it was 1 year after the film's release that the most infamous disaster would occur. At the time, director Roman Polanski was married to Hollywood actress Sharon Tate, who was pregnant with their first child. Tragedy struck in August of 1969 when Tate was murdered by the Manson family along with the unborn child. The public quickly began to connect the Manson family murders with growing worries that led to the satanic panic. Some suggested that Polanski had offered Tate as a sacrifice to maintain his status in Hollywood. Others suggested the Manson family were Satanists, lumping the Beatles in as well due to their song Helter Skelter, the words which were written in blood at the scene of the Tate's murder. Writer Ira Levin, who first penned the novel Rosemary's Baby, later expressed guilt that his work had played a significant part in all this popularization of the occult and belief in witchcraft and Satanism. I really feel a certain degree of guilt about having fostered that kind of irrationality, he said. Ooh, I did not know about that one. The Crow, the film that killed Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee, son of the legendary star Bruce Lee, starred as the titular character in 1994's The Crow. In the film, Lee plays a murdered rock star who returns from the dead to exact revenge on the gang that killed him and his girlfriend. Unfortunately, the film would become marred by real life tragedy when Lee was accidentally shot and killed while filming his death scene. It was a fairly simple scene. Lee was to walk through a doorway carrying a grocery bag, while co-star Michael Massey fired blanks at him from 15 feet away, at which point Lee would flip a switch to set off squibs, which simulated the impact of bees striking him. They had rehearsed the scene several times before. Oh my god, this ad is like distracting for whatever bike this is. They had rehearsed the scene several times before, but when it came, oh my god, I don't care about your bikes. But when it came time to film the take that would eventually be in the film, everything went horribly wrong. Somehow, a dummy bullet from a previous scene had gotten lodged in the prop gun that Massey was to fire. When he aimed the prop gun, it pew pew at Lee, the dummy bullet shot out and struck Lee in the abdomen. Despite not being a real bee, the force with which it was fired was enough to sever two of Lee's arteries. The pew pew shots also caused the small explosive squibs to go off, obscuring the initial injury when police first looked into the incident. Ultimately, though, doctors found that Lee's wounds were in line with typical pew pew wounds. The young actor was buried next to his father, Bruce Lee. Both father and son had died tragically young, leading some to speculate that the Lees were afflicted with a family curse. That, if you ever saw, like, forgot what movie, it was like a movie about Bruce Lee's life. They were saying that there was, that film kind of explained, like, that there was a curse on the men's side, like, any male figure on, uh, in Bruce Lee's family. So so Bruce Lee suffered from that curse. And so they're thinking that Brandon Lee, it was carried on to Brandon Lee, and that's how he passed away. That's what my understanding of it was. It's like a family curse. Twilight Zone, the movie, and the on-set accident that killed two child actors. I think I heard of this one. In June 1983, Twilight Zone, the movie, landed in theaters to mixed, mostly middling reviews. The film likely would not have made a lasting impression had it not been for the horrific, tragic accident that occurred during its production, leading to speculation that it was a cursed movie. At 2:20 a.m. on July 23rd, 1982, a segment directed by John Landis, I did hear about this one, known for American Werewolf in London and Blues Brothers, ended with the death of its lead actor Vic Morrow and two children, 7-year-old Micah Din Lee and 6-year-old Renee Shin Yi Chin. A helicopter blade had dismembered all three of them and decapitated Morrow and Lee. That's sad. According to the New York Times, there were a number of factors that contributed to the tragedy. First and foremost, Landis had flagrantly violated California's child labor laws. Children were not permitted to work such late hours on set. Child welfare workers would never have permitted child actors to work so close to a helicopter explosion. Landis and producer George Bosley Jr. blatantly ignored those regulations. They cast children on their mutual acquaintances and paid them cash to keep their names off the payroll. A production secretary later reported remembering Landis joking, "We're all going to jail." Landis frequently ignored warnings on set, and not just regarding the children. In one instance, he was unsatisfied with the fake gunfire used in one scene, and so he ordered the use of live ammunition on the set. Communication broke down the night of the accident as well. One stunt performer noted that the explosion meant to rock the helicopter was stronger than expected, and Landis allegedly replied, "If you think that was big, you haven't seen nothing yet." The explosion was only meant to go off behind the helicopter, which would then crash to the ground behind Morrow and the children. Instead, the explosion caused the helicopter to dip forward and its blade cut right through the three actors. Yet Landis, Folsey, and three other defendants were acquitted on all charges levied against them. Whoa. I heard about that one. That one's crazy. And that's kind of messed up, though, because his carelessness caused the loss of two children that had a whole life ahead of them. Plus a guy, also a gentleman, too. Rebel Without a Cause, 1955, and the alleged curse that killed its lead actors. 1955's Rebel Without a Cause was the sort of film that only comes along once in a blue moon, perfectly encapsulating the era of its creation. It also starred two of the hottest Hollywood actors of the time, James Dean and Natalie Wood, alongside co-actor Sal Mineo in his breakout role. All three of Rebel's lead actors would go on to die untimely deaths. In fact, the film released less than a month after James Dean fatally crashed his Porsche on a California highway at the age of just 24. Then, about a decade after Dean's death, his friend Nick Adams, who also happened to have had a brief fling with Natalie Wood, died mysteriously in his own home. Adams' death was ruled an accidental S. Less than 10 years later, Sal Mineo was found dead in his West Hollywood home. He's been stabbed to death by pizza delivery man Lionel Ray Williams. Mineo had been one of the first openly gay actors in Hollywood, and over the years, some speculated that Williams may have murdered him due to his sexuality. However, Williams denied knowing who Mineo was. And finally, in 1981, Natalie Wood was found dead floating in the ocean off the California coast in her nightgown. The circumstances surrounding her death have never been determined. It it's still a unsolved mystery. The Conqueror was filmed downwind of a nuclear weapons test site. Ooh. In the mid 1950s, John Wayne was one of the biggest actors in Hollywood, and he was set to star in what was sure to be a classic epic. 1956, The Conqueror, which saw Wayne portray the 13th century Mongol warlord Genghis Khan. Instead, the film ended up being a flop. It is widely considered to be one of the Wayne's worst performances and a smear on Hollywood's so-called golden age. But if it isn't for the reason that the film is remembered today. Rather, it is still brought up in conversations due to the circumstances surrounding its production and the awful fallout for many of the cast and crew. According to The Guardian, the film was shot downwind of a nuclear weapons testing facility in the Utah desert. In the years since, many members of its cast and crew developed cancer allegedly from exposure to nuclear radiation. Of the 220 people involved with the production, 91 developed a range of cancers and 46 died as a result, including John Wayne, his co star Susan Hayward, and director Dick Powell. This number doesn't account for the Native American extras in the film either, so it's likely that the actual number of casualties is even higher than what was reported. The Superman curse that affected multiple actors who played the iconic superhero. Many actors have played Superman since the character was first created in 1938, including Henry Cavill, Tom Welling in recent years. Thankfully, so far at least, both actors seem to be free from the Superman curse that affected their predecessors. According to KQED, the so called curse began with TV's first Superman, Kirk Allen. Allen found success in the role but was unfortunately typecast afterwards and struggled to find another acting job. But it only got worse for Superman actors afterwards. Actor George Reeves played Superman from 1951 until 1959, when he died under mysterious circumstances. Just days before he was set to get married in June of 1959, Reeves was found dead from a pew pew wound. His death was ruled an S, but his fingerprints were never found on the pew pew that allegedly killed him. Then Christopher Reeves stepped into the Superman role for 1978 Superman and its three sequels. Reeve also suffered from horrible luck after his time as the Man of Steel, becoming paralyzed from the neck down in 1995 after a horse riding accident. Reeve died in 2004, and then 2 years later, his wife, Diana, died of lung cancer. Strangely, she had never been a smoker. Reeves' co-star also fell victim to the curse. Marlon Brando, who appeared in 1978 Superman, died within 3 months of Reeve and not long after a series of legal troubles surrounding his son Christian. The curse was also said to have affected Lee Quigley, the actor who played infant Clark Kent. As a boy, Quigley was the victim of schoolyard bullying and died at just 14 years old from solvent abuse. And Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane in the Superman films, was involved in a terrible car accident that left her unable to work for years. I don't know. What do you think about that Superman curse? I don't know. I never really. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of weird to me because I never felt like Christopher Reeve's accident was a curse. I felt like it was an accident. But I've never heard of that one, so that one's kind of interesting. The odd hauntings that affected the cast of The Conjuring. The Conjuring is one of the most influential horror films of the last decade, but according to its lead actress, its horrors extend beyond the screen. According to Cinema Blend, actress Vera Farmiga, who played paranormal investigator Lorraine Warren, experienced a number of chilling events off screen when she began to work on the allegedly cursed film series. The first strange occurrence happened before filming even began for the first Conjuring film. Farmiga was researching the Warrens following a phone conversation with director James Wan when she opened her computer and saw three digital claw marks from the upper right diagonal to the lower left. Months later, on the day that Farmiga completed filming The Conjuring, she returned to her home in upstate New York. The next day, she claimed she woke up and found three claw marks, bruises on her thigh. It wasn't incredibly painful, she said. It might have felt like a bruise. It was these three very distinct, what looks like claw marks that long nails or long fingertips, like thin fingertips, can make. While the set of The Conjuring was fairly accident free, Farmiga's experience is still chilling, even the context of the first film and the horrifying events that befell the Perron family who inspired it. Guys, so what did you think of that? There's a few of them I did not know was cursed, and there's a few that I heard about. Like the Superman one, I didn't realize there was a Superman curse, but I feel like with Superman, it was just um uh I feel like with in Christopher Reeve's case, it was an accident. I don't feel like it's a curse. Diane goes, I did see the movie with Gregory Peck about Damien. After that, I could never understand how could people could name their child Damien. I still believe this and have known people who did. Rochelle goes, would not be funny for real. My father swears by it. He has told me and his real family they're related to the real Superman, and my family has straight up and cursed. We have struggled everything. No, my father, I'll just tell you something about him. He is one of the most honest men you will ever meet, so I believe when he tells me this because he doesn't believe in anything spiritual. He's a realist. Oh, wow. But yes, Rochelle continues, I fully believe in the Superman curse, and that is why, because my family and we really are generally good people, and it just seems like karma always hits us like. Brandon goes, did you hear about the curse of the original Little Rascals? No, I haven't. Tyrana goes, very interesting. That's super interesting, Rochelle. But I never thought of Superman curse. I never heard of it. That's the first time I've ever heard of it. But that is super interesting. Cheryl King loved the movie. I love that movie. The Omen, that's one of my favorites. But I know there's some people that won't watch it because of what's in it. Heather whatever goes, Rochelle, may the curse be lifted. For sure. Curses are not to be messed with. Heather whatever goes, I love it too. Scary definitely is the Omen. The music was scary, even. Rochelle goes, yeah, it just gave me the chills because that is very for real story. I'm not just making this up. It's something that I've always wondered about myself because of that. Oh, crazy. That's crazy, Rochelle. It is. Julissa goes, The Omen is a good movie. Chris Barber goes, I always liked the beginning of the third Omen movie. I had to rewatch the second and the third one. I remember the first one the most because that's the one I've seen many times. The second and the third one I've seen them, but not as much as the first one. Diane goes, I have always believed Natalie Wood was murdered by her husband, who starred in a show that explained murders. Robert Wagner continues to be a person of interest. I think so too, to be honest with you, Diane. I'm sure he's being haunted by it too, as well. If he's still alive. I don't know if Robert Wagner is still alive. I do not know. Heather Rutter goes, good point, Lisa. Yes, he is. Okay. I wasn't sure if he was or not. Leonore saying Christopher Walken was there. Walken was there too. That's okay, Teresa. A lot of people have had doctor's appointments today. Or 2 dentist appointments. Hope you feel better, Teresa, too, as well. That's like a quadiki dink. That's weird. Super weird. It's Monday for you. All right, guys, I'm going to open it up for questions. I'll probably stay on for a few more minutes. Could be a criticism, could be a complaint. No, I just always say that because I like to say it. And Cheryl is ahead of us. It's Tuesday at 4 p.m. So she's already gone through Monday. Brandon goes, you ready for Lewis's B day tomorrow? I am. Tyrana goes, awesome stream. You're very welcome, Tyrana. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Heather Whatever goes, this was a great one. I'm glad you enjoyed it too as well, Heather Whatever. Julissa goes, how do you feel about Lewis watching Thanksgiving with y'all? I was like, what? What? I go, I don't work tomorrow, so I could have gone, but then I wouldn't have been able to be on here with you. So I kind of, to be honest with you, I'd rather be on streaming with y'all. But I was kind of a little like, wait, huh? I didn't even know. But I definitely will, Brandon. When you get a chance, look up the Little Rascal Curse. But I'd rather be streaming with all y'all, so I could catch it later. No biggie. Diane goes, I was not aware of so many movie conspiracy deaths. I knew some of them, but some of them I never heard of. Aisha goes, that's insane. Some of them I never heard of, and some I did. There was like maybe 2 or 3 I've heard of. Thank you, Rochelle. Any last minute questions, guys? Before I end the stream. Oh, Cheryl King is asking, where is Skelly Ducky, remember, thank you for reminding me. Skelly Ducky is right there where my finger is pointing. Right where my finger's pointing. Directly behind the flower, guys. Like right next to the or the UD sport, because you can't see the whole name of the poster. That's okay, Teresa. Brandon goes, it's always a mystery. Diane goes, what time does the Lewis birthday bash start tomorrow? I am not sure, to be honest with you, Diane. Aisha goes, where do you find these stories? They're so good. I just do a Google search, believe it or not, Aisha. And I go from there. Believe it or not, if you Google ghosts of the news, there's a lot of stuff that pops up. Tyrana goes, love that hat. Is it a new one? No, I've actually had this one. I think I've worn it once. I haven't worn I wore this. Yeah, I've worn this one once. So it's kind of new. Teresa goes, thanks. Now I have a better idea of what the duck looks like. It's literally a skeleduck. It's a duck like it's a skeleton duck, but it's like a rubber ducky, but a skeleduck is the only way I can describe it. Julissa goes, your hat is very cute. Thank you, Julissa. And Heather saying, good hat. Thank you. I have a black one too that has the same ghost on it without the hurts. So I have two of them, but this one, I like the color of this one. But when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I have to have it. So, because I collect rubber duckies. So, I mean, it's perfect. I go, that's so me. Diane goes, very fun and interesting stream tonight. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Heather, whatever, cute ghost. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you for joining me on this stream tonight. I'll see you on the next one, hopefully, because I know Lewis is supposed to mix next Saturday, but I'll try to figure out something. I'll maybe try to go on earlier, or we'll see what happens. But I should be on next Saturday, so keep a lookout. And then Cheryl King, I am gonna have a scary Christmas. So thank you for joining me, guys, and stay spooky and good night. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. Good night, guys.